Inhi is an ordinary housewife living in Seoul, South Korea, leading a quiet life with her husband. Every day she follows the same routine, preparing meals and taking care of her family. But one night, a dream shatters her sense of normalcy. In the dream, she witnesses a grotesque and violent slaughter. Upon waking, she is overcome by a profound disgust for meat and decides to stop eating it altogether. This choice quickly destabilizes her family life. Her husband, baffled and frustrated, cannot understand the sudden shift. He tries to persuade her to return to their usual way of life, but Inhi refuses to engage with him, even withdrawing from physical contact and intimacy. Her behavior grows increasingly erratic, and the distance between her and her family deepens. Her body withers, and her mental state deteriorates. During a family dinner, her father attempts to force-feed her meat, believing it will correct her abnormal behavior. This act of coercion only hastens her breakdown. She vomits on the spot, unable to endure such an act of patriarchal violence. This moment symbolizes her rejection of not just meat, but the oppressive expectations of family and society. Inhi's brother-in-law, an artist, becomes fascinated with her frail body and her dissociation from reality. One day, he proposes to use her as a model for his artwork, and Inhi does not refuse. He paints plant-like designs on her body and films her as though she has transcended the confines of daily life. To him, Inhi becomes a living art piece, a being beyond the ordinary. However, this act of artistic expression is also an exploitation of her vulnerability, a further objectification of her body and spirit. While he finds inspiration in her, Inhi loses herself completely. Eventually, Inhi and her brother-in-law become sexually involved, which only deepens her unraveling and brings her family relations to a breaking point. As her mental condition worsens, her family finally recognizes the severity of the situation and commits her to a psychiatric hospital. There, Inhi refuses to eat or speak, spending her days by the window, silently staring out at the dull grey sky, as though her soul has already left the world. Her sister, Inhi, is the only one who continues to visit her. Each time, Inhi tries to reach her through childhood memories, hoping to stir some warmth or hope in her, but Inhi remains silent, unresponsive. Through caring for her sister, Inhi begins to confront her own long-buried emotions. She reflects on her role as a submissive and questions whether she has sacrificed too much of herself for the sake of her family. Watching Inhi's extreme rejection of societal and familial oppression, Inhi starts to question whether her own so-called normal life might also be a form of spiritual confinement. She realizes that both sisters, though in different ways, are grappling with the same isolation and repression. During one visit, Inhi leaves Inhi a letter, writing, "I want to understand you, even if I never fully can." After reading the letter, tears silently fall down Inhi's face. It is the first sign of emotion she has shown in her long solitude. Though she remains almost entirely severed from the world, there is a sense of peace in her extreme detachment, albeit one gained at the ultimate cost of total isolation. From this story, we can draw several key insights. 1. Violence is not only physical, but can manifest as invisible oppression and control. Inhi's rejection of meat symbolizes her resistance to the subtle forms of violence imposed by society. The story unveils the invisible pressures that social, familial, and cultural forces exert on individuals. This type of violence extends beyond the physical and includes mental and psychological control. 2. Personal autonomy often clashes with societal expectations. Inhi's refusal to conform to traditional social norms, particularly the control over women's bodies, represents her fight for personal autonomy. By resisting her family, husband, and societal expectations, she seeks to break free from the constraints placed on women's roles and behavior. 3. The line between sanity and madness is socially constructed, not absolute. The novel examines how society defines sanity and madness, especially when individuals defy mainstream values. Inhi's family perceives her actions as madness, but her behavior is a profound act of resistance against oppression and control. This demonstrates that society can misinterpret nonconformity as irrationality or madness. Fourth, the body can serve as a tool for protest and a means to seek freedom. Through Yonghye's physical rejection of meat, Han Kang explores the separation of body and spirit. Yonghye's physical protest is not just a refusal of meat, but a rejection of her entire way of life, symbolizing her desire to escape the constraints of her body and attain spiritual freedom. 5. Understanding another person's inner world is often limited by one's own background and biases. The story reveals the misunderstandings and disconnection in human relationships. Whether it is her family, husband, or sister, none of them truly comprehend Yonghye's inner world. This illustrates how attempts to understand others are often constrained by personal experiences and cultural context. Thank you for watching. If this video inspired you, please like and subscribe. See you next time.